for coming. Right, I'm Gilbert from Love It, Singapore. Right, yeah, it'll be a 22 slides thing. Right, probably will end about 40 minutes. Then we start with a Q&A. Right, a little bit of my background, right, I'm doing a lot of charity work in Singapore as well. Right, we help the elderly poor and the homeless people for the past 10 to 12 years. I'm also an activist. I think you know by now. I won't go into that. So we begin to go into Middle East, right, about 7, 8, 9 years ago. And we go there twice a year during Ramadan and during the winter Eid. So I'm leaving again in December, right, for a month in Lebanon. I don't go to Syria, right, because it's too dangerous. So I go strictly to Lebanon, where I'm more based in Beirut, right, the capital of Lebanon. Someone asked me, a lot of people asked me, why Lebanon? Right, why Lebanon? Why not Afghanistan? Why not Cambodia? Why not, Iraq? Well, the simple reason is I was invited to a conference in Lebanon. Right, it's a Palestinian Syrian refugee conference. So while there, I realized, wow, first, there's not many Asian. Secondly, there's no Singaporean in Lebanon doing humanitarian work. I think there are a lot in Indonesia, in Cambodia, in Vietnam, or even in Malaysia, but very few in Middle East. So I said, hey, that's something I think I can carry the flag of Singapore into Middle East, right, doing some good work. So I was there for 10 times. So each trip I spent about a month or two. My visa allows me to enter Lebanon freely. In fact, there's no visa. I can just walk in, get my passport chopped. I'm given 3 months of stay. Right, so it's easier. Right? So the Singapore passport give us a lot of entry into the Middle East. Wow, I said the wrong thing, Jack. Hello, we just leave it on the floor. Right, don't put it up. Because it keeps dropping. So I would say being a Singaporean going into Middle East does help. Right, we are very respected. Right, a lot of countries respect us. And the passport also give us easy entry into Middle East. I have an American friend who needs visa to get into quite a lot of countries in the Middle East. But being a Singaporean, it gives me a lot of access, right, into the Middle East. So that's the background. I'll go to the slide. Okay, there are 22 slides, so it wouldn't take too long, I hope. And in the midst of this, you can ask questions, right? Probably is more interesting. Okay, why Lebanon? I went through that. Topic 2, humanitarian crisis, right? We touched a bit on that. Then the topic 3 will be Palestinian refugees. Topic 4, Syrian. And the last topic is what we can do, right, as a group. Singaporeans or as a Middle East Institute. Right. Okay, I actually have this dream to put Singapore, map of Singapore into Middle East. There's really very few Singaporeans, right, in the Middle East doing humanitarian work. Right. So it's my dream to inspire more Singaporeans like you, right, all of you, right, to venture to places of the less trodden for humanitarian work. But there's a huge bucket that's untapped and unspoiled for us Singaporeans to go there. But there's very few. I think there's one only in Iraq. There's a Habibi NGO doing quite well in Iraq. I think there's none in Afghanistan. Right? There's probably only me, I think only me in Lebanon. Right? There's none other that I know going to Lebanon. And there's very few in Jordan. I know many went to Jordan for their humanitarian work, Singaporean students, mostly Muslim, but very few in Lebanon. And I think 0 in Afghanistan, and only 1 or 2 in Iraq. So these are very untapped places for humanitarian work. But I think why it's untapped is because it's risky, right? Isn't it? It's dangerous. Like Lebanon, oh my God. When I talk to my friends, none want to go. But they give money, they donate, but they don't want to go. Until now, 10 trips, I only could persuade one girl a French Singaporean girl to follow me once only to Lebanon. Other than that, nobody wants to go with me. And we provide airfare, right? Free airfare. We provide lodging. We even cover your expenses. No tickets. So it shows it's not the best of places for Singaporeans, right? To do humanitarian work. They rather go to Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, China, but not Middle East, right? Yeah, Lebanon, right? Very smack in the middle. On top is Jordan, right? Below Lebanon is Syria. Then there's Israel. As you know from the news, Israel and Lebanon are at war, still technically at war. But in fact, when I was there, the last trip, there was some bombing by Israel to South Lebanon. And the Hezbollah, a terrorist group operating in Lebanon, also fire away rockets into Israel. And now it's getting worse. The Palestinians are killing each other in the refugee camp in South Lebanon. So it's not really the best of time to go, right? And I'm going in December, right? But I'm not based in South Lebanon, where there's a lot of conflict, right? I'm more based in Beirut. So I go more to the Bekaa Valley, right? This side, right? Bekaa Valley and Tripoli, right? The north side, because that's where I operate more. That's where the Syrian camps are. Most of the camps are in the north side, North Lebanon, right? Most of the Syrians are in the north side. So it's a small country, 10 times the size of Singapore, right? Not too big. Population, same as Singapore, 5 million. And out of 5 million, about 1.5 million are refugees, 1 million Syrians, 500,000 Palestinians. So you have all kinds of people, right, moving around in Lebanon. But Asian, like me, hardly, right? I don't see many. I see Filipinos, right? They work as domestic maids, but I don't see Chinese. I don't see myself, right? I don't see another Asian much moving about. Right? But I see Filipino, Sunday, they have the off day, they come out to, enjoy their off. But other than that, yeah, I don't see many Asian. But there are many, you're from Oman, right? Yeah, there are many Arabs there. So you will fit in. I don't fit in. In fact, I'm a target for kidnapping, right? Because I look so different. If they know I'm from Singapore, yeah, it's quite a high chance, right? I get kidnapped. But I don't feel I'm at risk. I don't feel that, I'm in danger really. I don't know, maybe I'm a bit more high risk type. But I don't feel that I get into danger. But though there are adventures, I'll tell later of how I got detained by the Lebanese army, right? So all these are things you have to have stomach for. And they are allowed to carry weapons, right? You can see someone getting a rifle into a supermarket, right? So these are things you have to have the stomach for. Or they can brandish a rifle, pistol at their belt. So these are things you have to have stomach for. Yeah, we also chiefly provide humanitarian aid. Right? We have provide fuel for winter warm. I think some places it snow and many actually elderly people, right? They actually passed away when we were there. So during the thick of winter, in January or February, right, you see the whole place is white, the northern part, right? So there are snow, and so some old people do die, from the cold, right? So these are things that we do for them. Not very extensive, but we do something. Because we are a small NGO, probably a one-man show. So every time I go, I bring 10, 20,000 US, and I just spread the money. I buy food, I buy one more, right? I buy things to support them, right? Yeah, we also give food supply, right? Cooking oil, bread, seeds, paste, noodles, rice. right? They are very dependent on external aid, right? They don't work, they can't work also. So they are fully dependent on NGO to help them. And I think they are withdrawing aid, the UN, the Lebanese side. In fact, the last trip I went, I could not enter the camp because the Lebanese army blocked us. So we can't go in. They say, no, now we don't allow NGOs to come, right? You are not allowed to go in. The previous trip, we could go in quite easily, right? We can just go in and come out. Now they block us because I think they want the refugees to go back to Syria, right? So they block all NGOs from entering. Yeah, this is a very remote part of Lebanese-Syrian border, right? You can see up to where the Russian had, so it's very cool, right? And we give food parcels, right, in black bag to these refugees, Syrian refugees in the very northern part of the Lebanese-Syrian border. In fact, somewhere you can see over the hills is Syria, but I never enter Syria because it's just too risky. But I never attempt to, though there are chances. There are cars that will bring you to Damascus for about 50 US, but I never dare to enter because I'm scared I can't come back. Oh, yeah, this sample of the food parcel, right? One box is 30 US. So this box have pasta, noodles, oil, spaghetti, juices. So it can last 2 weeks. And normally we order about 50 to 100 boxes. So it costs about 3,000, right, per distribution. So it can benefit about 100 to 200, right, refugees. And this we got from a wholesaler, and this is considered cheap. I think when I goes back, right, probably it costs about $50 now. Because inflation has gone up a lot, right? And the Lebanese currency, if you know by now, it has devalued by a whole lot, right? I think about 90%. It used to be 1,005. You can change, 1,500, 1,500 Lebanese lira is changeable to 1 US. Now 100,000. So you need 100,000 to change 1 US. Just like, it's terrible. So oil, a bottle of oil can cost like 200,000 Lebanese lira. So you can imagine the impact of this devaluation on the population. So about 70% of Lebanese population living in poverty, right? 70%. Because everything has devalued. Like a lunch that I went to eat, it costs 300,000 Lebanese lira. It's about 3 US. But to a Lebanese earning in Lebanese currency, 300,000. Probably their income is only 2 million Lebanese lira. But a plate of rice costs 300,000 Lebanese lira. That's a hell of a lot of money. And when I go there, I feel like I can spend like a king because I bring in US dollar. Right, I live like a king. Like I tell my friend that I have to bring in cash because I can't withdraw money from the ATM. So I will put 5,000 here, 5,000 here, US dollar. Right, this is how we operate. And I hide the money in floorboard, in the house, for fear that there's a robbery, or someone rob you. So I bring 10,000 all cash. And if I need money, I have to go to Turkey, Istanbul, to draw from the ATM. Because Lebanese ATM doesn't work. The bank is down. In fact, the Lebanese have to rob their own bank for their own money deposit. Right. So it's a cowboy country, right? Very un-Singaporean. Yeah. There's no street lights in the night. Everything is pitch black. Then the electricity is ration, like 8 to 10, you have power. Then 10 to 2, you have no power. Then 2 to 4, you have power. Right. So all this you have to stomach. I'm not used to it really. I find it frustrating that I don't have internet, I don't have power. I have to charge all my phone when the power is on. And water, you can't drink. Right. You have to buy your own mineral water. I even bathe in mineral water. I'm so kiasu. I boil the mineral water and bathe it. Because the water is just so dirty. Yeah, I don't dare to touch it. Yeah, we also do after support, right? We help with the fasting program. Because we realize some of them fast, but they don't have the means to break fast, right? Which I think is an important element for Muslim, right? So we help to buy food for fasting. And you can see these refugees, right, keep pouring over very sumptuous chicken rice, right? It's their favorite food, right, for Ramadan. Yeah, this one will make my mouth water. But this whole thing costs about 12 or 11 US, right, with whole chicken, with very good food, and with yellow rice, right? I think it can be consumed by 3%, right? Probably 2 adults and 2 child. And this to them is very sumptuous because they don't get to eat this good, right? Because it's a lot of money for them, 10 to 12 US, right? Probably their salary is like 80 to 100 US a month. So no refugee will eat this, right? Unless we are the one that give it to them. So we are proud to serve some of them. Because of the cost of it, right? We can't serve everyone, but we do our best to serve those that we can. So like I say, each trip we go, we spend 10, 15,000, right? And there are times that we go to 20,000. It depends on the donation. And donations come from all walks of life, like the public, church friends, Muslim friends. So we take in donation, but locally, we can't take in a donation from a foreigner. I think right, it's disallowed in Singapore. Yeah, we also serve this school, right, in the north part of Lebanon, right, where we provide them $1,000 and it benefited 300 Syrian kids, right? So you can see they are all waiting there, after they are fasting to consume the food. But it's simple food like bottled water, some milk, and some those bun, those oven bun. So with this, yeah, I think it's well spent, right? $1,000. You can help 300 Syrian school kids. Yeah, we also help Palestinian school, right? Also $1,000 where they cook very good chicken with rice, with milk, with water, and we just bless them. We help them, right, with their fasting. This is a Palestinian school, right, in Beirut. We also help with the Eid celebration. It's Ramadan. After Ramadan, they will celebrate their after Ramadan festival, like our Hari Raya. But it's, I think, 6 days or 7 days. So this is a camp where we went to help them. And I think we didn't spend a lot, about 1,000, but we could go to a few camps and we just put something simple like balloons, sweets, chocolates, and a bottle of water, and they're so happy. I think sometimes it's not the things that you give, it's the love, the care you put into it. I think a lot of them will appreciate you if you go. I mean, you're from Singapore, right? Very far away. And there are instances where we bypass a camp, they were shocked, when a truck went, they said, Singapore, Singapore, Singapore. Just like, wow, it feels so patriotic. Like National Day Parade. Where, oh my God, I feel so proud of being a Singaporean, carrying our flag there. Right? They just clap, Singapore, Singapore, Singapore. I say, wow, this is something I wish a lot of Singaporeans can experience. But I'm the only one. I kind of feel very proud to be a Singaporean. Right. They also want to go a bit into a Palestinian camp, right? There are 12 Palestinian camps in Singapore, in Lebanon, and this particular camp in Shatila, right, is one of the worst. As you can see, the wires are over. Right, it's a 1 km by 1 km square camp, and there are 20,000 refugees there. Can you imagine 1 km by 1 km, but you have 20,000 living there. Right, And you can see the wire. In fact, during winter, when rain, there are kids that touch the wire and they were killed. Right? They were killed by the wires. So I was warned not to go near the walls and don't touch any wires. Because it kill, it does kill. And there's a stench. I think it's very densely populated. So there's a very bad stench. Right? You don't feel it's raw air, it feels stuffy. Right? And when I go there, well, I always get this headache. But there's so many turning, it's like a maze. I can never find my way out. I have to keep asking people, hey, how to get back to Beirut? Because everywhere you turn is the same. Right, but this camp, if you go, you have to go. This is the worst camp. Right, it's filthy, it's stuffy, and it's overpopulated. And every camp is almost like that with wires. Right, the cement is badly done. It's like wow, the building will collapse anytime. Right, so this is a typical example of a camp in Lebanon. Right, housing about 300,000 Palestinian refugees. Yeah, Shatila camp, unhygienic and stuffy. You can see all the wires hanging all over the shop. It's built so close that you can actually see your neighbor. It's like Singapore HDB, you can see each other. But I think this is worse. Right, they tend to stack on top of each other. Like their son get married, they will build a house and stack on top of their existing house. So it's dangerous. But I've entered into some homes, surprisingly, it's nice. It's well renovated, right? There are beautiful sofa, curtains, right? So I thought it's not so bad. But the exterior is not good. The exterior is run down, shabby, and full of wires running all over. Yeah, we invested in a lot of education programs. Like this is one Palestinian kindergarten that we support, right? We support a lot of orphans, right? We fund their education. We also bring hope and cheers. Like when we go, we give, normally it's $1,000, right? For them to buy toys or to buy food during Ramadan or to like support their food program, right? To those very poor refugees. But everyone is poor. Yeah, I think the mental health of a kid, a refugee kid is not good. Right? Palestinians cannot have jobs. You can be an engineer or architect or a doctor, but you can't work. So no point. Why should I get a medical degree if I can't work in Lebanon? So a lot of Palestinians face a future of no hope. That's why they rather risk the unsafe journey to Greece via boats. And a lot of them are killed in the journey to Greece or to Italy, right? Because there's no hope. There's nothing for them, even if they're smart or capable. And a lot of them want to run away. And they can't get citizenship, right? Even their father's grandfather is a Palestinian staying in Lebanon for the last 50 years. So it's hopeless. So a lot of them will escape to Greece or Italy or Cyprus in a boat, and they're willing to risk their death, right, to escape poverty and hopelessness in Lebanon. Yeah, this is a Syrian school which we supported quite heavily, right? There are 3,500 students. It's in the north part of Lebanon. It's a Syrian school. And I think here we supported about 100 orphans, right, giving $250 a year for each child of education. Right, this school we particularly well supported, and this is a program which, yeah, a lot of my donors are, I don't know why, a lot of my donors supported this. Right, they keep asking, I want to support orphan for the education. So when I go over, normally I bring 6,000 to 8,000, right, of orphan education money for them. These are the few orphans that we supported. Each year is $250. If you support 10 years, it's only $2,500. Right, and they will study all through high school. And after that, they go into varsity, where they will apply for a scholarship, right, to study. I don't know whether NUS support them. No. Yeah, so this, I would say, very heavily supported, right, by us. Like, I would spend a lot of time there, you know, talking to the principal. The principal is standing next to me in the center, right? So I'm quite close with him. He was with me in Turkey when there was an earthquake. So he came along to guide me to help the Turkish Syrian earthquake, right? We're there doing some relief work there. So he came along with me because I can't speak Arabic. And he knows some people in Turkey, so we could do something in Turkey for the earthquake victims. Yeah, I like to bring the flag, the Singapore flag, wherever I went. So I think it's proud, right? It's proud for me to put our country into the map of the Middle East. I'll continue to do that until I'm stopped. Yeah, we also do quite a lot of work in MAPS, right? Multi-aid programs. It's also a Syrian school operating in Bekaa and Asa, which is the north part of Lebanon, right? They have 3,000 students, right? And their school is unique. It's all in containers, right? They renovate a container and they put chairs, furnitures, and voila, it's a school. So you can have a school of 10 containers, and one container is about, 20, 30 kids. I thought they are doing a good job, right? The Syrian school in the northern part of Lebanon. Yeah. Yeah, there's me with the principal and the teacher. This is winter, so they're all wrapped up. And this is insulated. You can see, right, the surrounding is all the insulation pad. It's really cold, right, in northern Lebanon. Can goes down to like 2 or 3 degrees, right, on the afternoon. So we are proud to serve them, right. I think they have a lot of funding from Save the Children. Do you know? Save the Children NGO. Yeah, they receive quite a bundle from them. Yeah, challenges faced by Syrian refugee children. You see many Syrian schools I've talked to you about. Truthfully, only 20% of them have access to proper education. The rest of the 80% have nothing. They just play, whole day, wake up, play until at night, have dinner, sleep. Right. So I don't know. It looks like they are aimless, right? Living aimlessly, hopeless, and they don't have a goal in life too. You can see them play the whole day. And even if they go back to Syria, I think they have trouble because they don't have education. They have no skills. And the Lebanese government is aimed to bring them back to Syria, but nobody wants to go back because it's risky. Right? They went back, they got killed. Right, so I guess they're in there for a long time, but there's no feasible solution. Right, the Lebanese government don't want them, and they don't want to go back to Syria. It's tough, right? I don't know. I don't see much solution. Wow, finally, so fast. Yeah, thank you. There's the email. You can WhatsApp me, and I have an Instagram. Right, too bad the website is not working. So these 3, you can contact me. Like say I'm going in December. If you want to visit with me, you can, but I won't advise you to come because it's dangerous. Jew, you want to come, I know. If you want to come, you must sign your death certificate first. Right, because it's truthfully getting very risky because of the conflict with Israel and Hezbollah now. Right, so I wouldn't recommend you to come. But I'm still going in December.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gilbert Goh.
Yeah.
Please, thank you so much for that presentation. We'll now move on to a quick question and answer session. I'm Misha Montero from the Middle East Institute, and I'll be moderating this Q&A session. The reason why humanitarian aid is so important to talk about is because it is not an issue that is going away. It is getting larger. And so some macro context for why organizations like Love Aid Singapore are in the Middle East is that over 12 million Syrians remain forcibly displaced, both internally and in neighboring countries such as Lebanon. Lebanon, which has been generously hosting these refugees for many years, has currently going through a deep socio-economic crisis with the collapse of its currency and rampant inflation. Despite the efforts of organizations like Love Aid Singapore, a UN report in 2022 said 90% of the refugees live in extreme poverty with very little hope of relief. So with that said, I open the floor to questions for our audience here with us in the conference room and online. While we all think about questions, it's not an academic event, so please don't be shy. Perhaps I'll kick off with a question of my own.
Yeah, sure.
So how do you do fundraising in Singapore?
Wow, good question. I think we have social media, so we goes a lot into posting, and surprisingly, Singaporeans are very generous, especially during Ramadan, right? A lot of the donors are Muslim, right? Because I think Lebanese, Syrians, Palestinians are mostly Muslims. So 80% of the funds come from Muslim public. Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's difficult to get funds, especially during Ramadan.
Right.
Yeah, they donate generously
Oh, that's the
to the Arabs, refugees in Middle East.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So do we have any questions from the audience? Please wait for the microphone.
Yeah, well, for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for this presentation. And it's very important work that you're doing. I think the kind of field trips that you have done, you could be a very good source material for the academics, because generally researchers are not able to go there. So I think you're a good source. But I won't ask too many questions, although I have just one, because you have gone to Lebanon, and I just want to know the sentiments on the streets in terms of their support to Iran. Have you seen any sort of people from Syria, and the difference between those opinions amongst the Syrians and the Palestinian refugees? So what sort of support they are having in their feelings towards Iran, and the difference between the Syrian and the Palestinians? Thank you.
I think Palestinians have been there for 50 years. Syrians about 10, 12 years. So, yeah, there's a little bit of resentment from the Palestinians when the Syrians came, like to take over, their territory. Like in Shatila camp, which I show you, quite a lot of Syrians actually came to occupy. They actually went from the Palestinians refugees, and these Palestinians will go somewhere else. So I would say there's a little bit of resentment. But after 12 years, I think there's acceptance there. Like, hey, you are going through the same thing as me. I'm a refugee, so are you. And we can't tell the difference of Palestinians or Syrian. But personally speaking, I feel, that sometimes there are skirmishes, there are fights. I think in South Lebanon, I know in the Palestinian camp, there's some killing going on. Yeah, the factions are killing each other as we talk now. Right, and the Lebanese army can't go there. They can't go in because of a UN ruling, that the Lebanese army cannot go into a Palestinian camp. So as of now, I'm not going in, though I visit Shatila quite a lot. I think it's scary now to go to a refugee camp. Because I don't know, you might get killed and you won't even know. They are snipers or they thought you're a spy, So I would avoid going to a Palestinian camp for now, because they're still fighting, especially in the south side of Lebanon, where there's the biggest camp. And they've killed 13 to 14 Palestinians. Among themselves, they shoot rockets and fire at each other. Right? But I would say by and large, there's acceptance now of Syrians and Palestinians living together. You can have a house of Syrians and the neighbors are Palestinians. I think I look at them, they coexist quite well. but they are, I think sometimes petty quarrels, like, wow, your kids are coming over to my site, and you're taking over certain places and certain work. So I think there are a little bit of that, but not very large scale, because they can't work. Officially, Palestinians and Syrians can't work, but they work underground and very cheaply. Can have someone working for 10 US or 5 US a day. Yeah, it's that bad. There's a lot of cheap workers, cheap labor going on. And there are a lot of child labor. You can have a boy 7, 8 years old working for like 50 US a month. So child labor is a problem. And Syrian and Palestinian girls, if you are 13 years old, you have your period. Yeah, you're okay, to marry. So we see a lot of Syrian young kids disappear from the classroom because they've been married at 15 or some as early as 14 years old. Right? So this is something that's troubling. And most of them are married because of money. Right? They need the money to put food on the table for the rest. And when they're married, they're like the third or even fourth wife. They're not the first wife. So you're like a slave when you're married like this. And I think it's sad. Yeah, it's a sad culture for these refugees. And Palestinian, Syrian girls are beautiful, are very pretty, right? So they are sought after by old men, unfortunately. Yes, and it's legitimate to marry at 15 or 16 over that side.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, do I answer your question?
No, you did. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. We have one question online.
Yeah.
What motivates you to do this sort of work? And how do you decide which organizations within Lebanon to support?
Wow, good question, man. When I went there, I don't know many people. I don't speak Arabic, so I have to learn from Maisha. Right. So I go on a prom, like I would go to you, and we work together. I give you some money, I see whether the money is being passed down. It's a trial and error kind of thing. But while I was there for my first conference in Lebanon, yeah, I could see many NGOs, right? Palestinians, Syrians, Lebanese NGOs. So I networked with them. I got a card. And when I went back, I called on them. I think it's a very long period of trial and error. Of course, there are some that needs my help, right? They are NGO, but they need support. And if you say you're from Singapore, yeah, they want your help. Because I think they know you're rich, you're respected, So I wouldn't say I have much problem getting contacts. Like they will refer their friends, and their friends will refer their friends. Yeah, but I particularly work a lot with schools. Right, I do like kindergarten, you see, a Syrian school. I think I work with 3 to 4 schools because it's safe. Right? Because you won't know you're helping a terrorist NGO because they're NGO that actually has a fund as an NGO, but they are funding terrorism behind. So you got to be careful. Yeah. So I like to work with schools. I also want to see them grow. Like you go back every year, you see the same kid, from year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4 to year 10. Yeah, it has a satisfaction. They are doing something that's long lasting. It's not just one-off. Like I go back and they say, yeah, amazing. They say, no NGO come back so much like you. Most goes there once, twice, 3 times, and that's it. But I'm there for 10 times. So I think we want a long-lasting relationship, not just a one-off. Yeah.
Right. Well, that actually leads me to another question.
Yeah.
Slightly uncomfortable potentially. Did you come across any attempts to extort you or any forms of bribery that to deny you access to these refugee camps?
I think there was once I was detained by the Lebanese army in a work block. Yeah, that was frightening because they were, brandishing their weapon. I think they're telling me, hey, don't fool around, I have a gun. So I was not comfortable. It's the first time I was detained at the roadblock by the Lebanese army. But after an hour, they released me because the NGO that, as I know, I think contacted someone senior, like a general in the army. So I was released, but I was uncomfortable 1 hour. And in the midst of the hour, I think they arrested a terrorist guy. He was in handcuff, you know, and the men that surrounds him all have automatic weapons. I guess they are the army or the secret army, you know, the police. So these are the things you have to be comfortable with, right? There are roadblocks. Like from Beirut to Tripoli, there are at least 3 roadblocks. Roadblocks means you have to sometimes show your passport, your identity. Right? I think they want to filter out terrorists that are in the van that I travel to. So when you go along, you have to bring your passport, right? Ensure that you are calm, even though you are being interrogated. But so far, I've been there 10 years. This is the only time I've been subjected, right, to a simple interrogation by the Lebanese army for 1 hour. And they are nice. They give me food, you know, drinks, ice cream, you know. So I think they're friendly, not hostile to me. I mean, I don't look like a crook. I don't look like, you know, I'm a terrorist. And from Singapore, I think it helps. If I'm from other country, I don't know.
Right.
I think Singapore, to me, is well respected, the country, and they give us a lot of respect as a Singaporean.
Okay.
Right.
And any more questions from our audience
Yeah,
here?
Drew, I know you have a question because you want to come.
If not, we have another question online. The question is, do you stay in touch with those you help while you back in Singapore via email or?
Yeah. We have their WhatsApps.
Okay.
I think mainly WhatsApps because it's easier, right? And like this session, I think 1 or 2 of them sign in. They're from Lebanon.
Oh.
So I WhatsApps them a lot, you know. If possible, we chit chat, you know, on the phone, but mostly WhatsApps.
Okay.
And it's very regular. Like every week, you know, we will keep each other updated. But there's a certain Syrian photographer that I keep in touch a lot. I think he's on this session. And there's a UK teacher, mentor that I knew in Lebanon. It's a British teacher that teaches in a Syrian school in Lebanon. So I think it's in also. Right. So I try my best. It's not easy to chat, right, after a prolonged absence, because I go back only after 6 months. Right. So I think there are plans to stay longer, right? Like 2 months instead of a month. I normally stay a month to a month and a half. That comes back. Then I go back again. But there are plans, I think, to stay longer or to be stationed there longer. Because if not, a month is very fast. You can't do much.
I see.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, we have a statement online here, not so much a question. Perhaps I'll read it to you, see what you have to say about it. Speaker, sir, I am a 3rd generation Singaporean and was in Lebanon between the end of 2016, 2017. I was there at Naya Ibrahim for my Syrian students. I had helped to prepare for the IELTS under the umbrella of the INST Ismaili studies. He said he felt no danger. He was even able to draw money from his ATM in Belos. Traveling to Beirut was possible for him. And yes, paradigms have shifted as they have not seen educated Singaporeans, South Asians, so on and so forth. He would be happy to join your NGO on its trip to Lebanon, as it feels like a second home for him. So potentially we can get his name from after this event.
Wow, okay.
But that leads me to another question. Insofar as what sort of aid is given to the region, what do you think NGOs should be focusing on? Education, healthcare, sanitation, infrastructure?
I don't know. For me personally, I like education, where we can see the child grow. I think especially girls, I feel the Arab girls, the women are second class. Like they would probably give priority to boys, no? If they have a shortage of funds over girls.
Right.
So the family, I presume, prioritizing boys over girls for education. So we actually like to fund, young girls for their education, because I know it's not a priority, right, for their Arab side. Right. So I would focus a lot on education. Secondly, of course, humanitarian. Like winter aid is much needed, especially the northern part where it's quite cold. Right. So there's every year a shortage of oil fuel, for humanitarian aid in the Syrian camp, especially in Aqsa. Aqsa is very north and very cold, and it snows for like a month in the winter, right? And even during summer, it's cold. Like now, I think it's 20s, but in autumn, wow, it's cold. I was there last December. Wow, I wear 3 layers. I still feel cold. So Aqsa is the very northern side, but Aqsa is a bit risky because it's very frontier. It's at the frontier of Lebanese-Syrian border. So I think like this trip that I'm going, we are focusing on Aqsa, but it's so far that I think no NGO wants to go, and it's very near to Syria. Like you can just pop over, it's the Syrian side. So it's a contentious area. There are still some terrorist groups operating there, right? So it's not a safe area, actually, Aqsa, to go, yeah.
Okay.
But I think we want to do something there. But this trip, it's a place where no NGO want to go a lot. This is cold, risky, and very rural area. Yeah, we want to go. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Are there any more questions in the audience here or online? If not, I would like to thank Mr. Gilbert Goh for his time, and for all of us here to maybe give him a round of applause for him and the good folks at Love Aid Singapore for all the good work they do.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much
for coming.
All the best for your upcoming trip.
Yeah, welcome. You can join me.
If it's on my schedule, I would love to. It sounds fun.
No, I'm just kidding. No, it's too.
Thank you so much for coming, and we hope to welcome you again at the Middle East Institute soon. Thank you and good night.
Thank you so much. All right.